Hey, how are you?
You're
Nice
most
to see
welcome.
you. Okay. Where are you from?
GOP presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson meeting with Syrian refugees in Jordan following weeks of questions about his foreign policy credentials. And we're back now with the panel. So Dr. Carson, on a 2-day trip to Jordan, now says that those refugees should stay in camps in Jordan or someplace else in the Middle East with increased aid from the West, but should not be brought to the U.S. Brit, does his 48 hours in the Middle East solve Ben Carson's commander-in-chief issue?
I don't think it solves it, but I think it probably helps. It was good. It was, I think, wise of him to go there, be seen there, as in the video you just showed. And of course, the remedy that he suggests is one that is likely to be popular among Republican primary voters. That is, don't bring them here, but help them there. Which now he can say that he came to that conclusion by virtue of his visit there, but it happens also to be a politically convenient position to take. So it probably helps a bit, yeah.
Congresswoman Harman, fair to say that you are a longtime Democrat. If the world stays, the world situation is ugly as it is, with the spread of ISIS, the threat of ISIS spreading, and the civil war in Syria continuing, what impact will that have on Hillary Clinton as a political candidate? Will her foreign policy credentials, will her ties to Obama be a plus or a minus?
Well, I think it will help anybody, and there are people running in the Republican Party, too, who are responsible and serious thinkers about foreign policy. It will not help people who make outrageous comments about keep all the Muslims out of the United States and build walls everywhere. And so I think it will help her, but I think it could help responsible Republicans as well. Let me just say one thing about the Carson visit. What's wrong with 1 million refugees in Jordan and refugees hemorrhaging around Syria is all those countries are now destabilized. And we should understand that ISIS wants its caliphate for the moment to be in Raqqa, Syria. But now there are rumors it could move to Libya, another failing state or almost failed state, and Yemen is a failed state. And all of these places are ripe for this civil war within radical Sunni Islam.
But I just want to pick up on the Clinton question, because the polls indicate by a very wide margin people do not think this president has a handle on ISIS, do not think he's being aggressive enough in fighting terrorism. She was the Secretary of State and the architect of much of this for the first 4 years of Obama's term. You really don't think that's going to impact her?
Well, sure. People will try to connect her to parts of Obama's policies that haven't succeeded, but it has been public knowledge that she was for the limited bombing in Syria, which Dave Petraeus, who also served Obama, was for, which I personally was for, and I think that will be viewed as a major strategic mistake of the Obama presidency.
Meanwhile, Republican frontrunner Donald Trump, as we mentioned earlier with Carly Fiorina, created another major controversy for himself when he seemed to mock a reporter with serious physical disabilities. Take another look.
He's going like, I don't remember. Oh, maybe that's what I said. This is 14 years ago. They didn't do a retraction.
Trump told a rally yesterday, James, that he would never make fun of someone, and in fact that the reporter and the New York Times are exploiting this situation and this misunderstanding. We have been thinking for a long period of time that Trump was going to say something that would be over the line. Is this the one?
Probably not. Donald Trump is new to the political arena in the sense of campaigns and elections. He's not new by any means to media and messaging and manipulation of the media. And I think that the greater threat to Donald Trump's candidacy will not be displays of his eccentricities such as this, or getting into fights with John McCain or Megyn Kelly or all the rest of it. The greater threat to Donald Trump's viability is a descent into conventionality. And when that happens, that's when his numbers will drop.
There doesn't seem to be much danger of that in the immediate future.
Given the animal, yes.
Brit, your thoughts about Trump and this latest display?
Well, it was pretty crude and pretty obvious what he was doing. I mean, for him to come out then and say, oh no, I would never mock someone's disability is a almost self-evident whopper. But I must say the striking thing about the Trump people is, the Trump supporters is, nothing seems to matter. And I think they proved Abraham Lincoln right when he said that you can fool some of the people all of the time. He's doing it.
Perhaps the most important development this week, certainly one of the most interesting, was a new Quinnipiac poll. And take a look at this in Iowa, which now shows that Texas Senator Ted Cruz has doubled his support in the last month, and as you can see is in a statistical dead heat with Donald Trump, while Ben Carson has fallen quite a bit in Iowa. Robert, we've been waiting a long time to see whether or not the two frontrunners were going to lose altitude. Is this it?
I just got back from a few days in Iowa, and I followed Senator Cruz around, and you can see the surge up close. People, the evangelical base, are turning away from Carson, still respect him, still like him, but they see Cruz as a credible outsider, someone who could perhaps go the distance. And Cruz is a political athlete. I was with him at a faith forum. He stayed to nearly midnight, shaking hands, talking to voters an hour after his speech had ended. And this is someone who's going to be having 17 or 18 stops today and tomorrow in Iowa. He's making a play for that state, making a play for Super Tuesday. If Trump or Carson fall for some reason, Cruz will be right there to pick up some support.
Let me pick up a couple of aspects of that. First of all, to the degree that there is any turning away from Carson, why is it?
It's because of foreign policy, and I've spoken to Carson's campaign manager, Barry Bennett. He's with Carson in Jordan right now. They know this is a vulnerability. They're trying to address it.
And as far as Cruz is concerned, we hear big, aggressive ground game, lots of money. He can play the role as kind of he's a senator, but as the insider's outsider. How is all of that working? And how does it look up close?
So Cruz is not banking everything on Iowa. He's playing for March 1st, the Super Tuesday states, those southern states, Alabama. He's looking even to Massachusetts, places that you're not really thinking about as key primary states. Cruz has an organization there looking for the long haul.
And what about the other candidates? Who's got, particularly in Iowa, because that's the first one, who's got a strong ground game there, and who of the leading candidates doesn't?
Trump actually has a stronger ground game than most people realize. He has Santorum's former advisor helping him out. Carson has such a grassroots network at his base. But what's really going to help Cruz or Carson, Huckabee, Santorum, they're still in the race. They're still splitting that Tea Party evangelical vote. Until they get out, it's going to remain crowded.
The other interesting development just late this week, Brit, is Chris Christie, who got the endorsement of the Manchester Union leader and seems to be getting some traction in New Hampshire, where obviously his campaign was in some trouble, but he seems to be picking up some steam there.
Yeah, he seems to be going nowhere in Iowa, which doesn't hurt New Hampshire. New Hampshire voters have a long history of reacting negatively to people who come in with a head of steam from Iowa. So that's actually a kind of a plus for him. And I think, he may be about to have a moment here, as candidates sometimes do. He's campaigned intensely in the state, and his bluff style is, I think, has some traction there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a move here too. This race is still a jumble.
It's a year away. All of this helps Hillary Clinton. It's a race for the soul of the Republican Party, and if it's a populist right-wing soul, I think she wins.
Well, it's not a year away for Iowa, though. It's less than 70 days. Thank you, panel. See you next Sunday. Thanks for coming in on this holiday weekend.